Awesome. And it looks like it's connecting the first time, which is always, always good. And I'll just wait for it to fully pop up. And I'll just pop the Zoom link over on Facebook in case we have some amazing people who want to join us live, and I will try and tag everyone. We all know this doesn't always work. Fingers crossed. Ooh, looks like it might have worked. Beautiful. All right, welcome everyone to our masterclass for today. Now, this one is especially potent, especially magic, because, and I totally didn't plan this, the universe planned it for me. This is in the waning phase of the moon cycle. So it's a great time to release, to clear negative energy, to let go of shit that simply isn't working for you anymore. So very, very awesome energy for us to be working with today's topic. All right. So if you haven't already, please grab your pen, your paper, your magical mindset, and lean in and get ready to learn about your non-negotiables. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat over here in Zoom, as well as on Facebook. So please make sure that you are commenting, you are sharing, and you are asking as many questions as you need so you can get the most out of today's masterclass. Now, this is the third masterclass in the series. So if you're just catching this one, know and trust it's going to be magical, but you can also catch up on the first two in the guide section of this group, as well as stick around for the upcoming ones as well. Today, we talk about your non-negotiables. And I'm curious, like really from the start, have you even considered in your business, in your life, what are your non-negotiables? So I'm going to open up with that question and feel very welcome to share with me what the answer to that is. And even though we're talking about non-negotiables today, what we're really talking about when we sort of look beneath the surface of that statement and of that question is we're talking about making sure you are in the driver's seat of your life. You know, just that small little thing, being totally in control, totally the leader, and the one sort of steering your way through life. And I have a few sort of questions to get us going and flowing on this topic. So allow them to wash over you, to sink in. Some might really resonate, some might trigger a little bit. Just allow in this space for yourself to own whatever comes up and through. When it comes to your life, when it comes to your business, do you feel in charge? That might be a very strong answer, might be a little soft whisper, but allow whatever needs to come up and through to come through for you right now. It may even be a question mark, and that's all right as well. Not right now, in the waiting stages. Yeah, sometimes that treading water feeling kind of makes us feel like, well, we can't be in control. Okay, here's the next question. In your life, in your business, do you feel confident in where you're heading? Yeah, I saw that. You're like, nah. And I will say, I'm assuming that there's many of you, probably 90%, 99% that will answer no, or not really, or not in all areas. So know that you're not alone on that one. My next question, in your life and business, do you want to change that? Yeah, and I'm assuming now it's going to be all nods. Okay, cool. So today I'm really structured this masterclass into 3 chunks, 3 questions, and responding to 3 kind of beliefs and maybe even secrets of success. So we're going to start with the first one now. Let's just dive right into the magic. So let this sink in. You do not need to compromise yourself for success. Write that down if it resonated, and I'm sure it will. I'm actually going to put it into the chat in case you're taking digital notes. So you do not need to compromise yourself for success. That literally was one of the biggest aha moments I had in my business, because I realized when I realized that I had been compromising myself over and over and over and over and over again. How I wanted to look, how I wanted to speak, how I wanted to act, what I wanted to talk about. how much I wanted to work. It felt like a constant negotiation on my wants, my needs, my values. And I'm wondering if this is resonating. That there feels like a part of business that you just have to accept it's not really going to be your way. Or there are certain things that you just simply can't have. And I want to clear that up right now. You do not need to compromise yourself for success. And in fact, you shouldn't. Easy for me to say that, but that's why we're going to unpack it today in a whole freaking class. So don't worry if it at this moment still feels a little bit like a pipe dream. So business, because we're talking about business, we're talking about vision, we're talking about the beautiful big things you're creating in life. Business success is as much about knowing yourself as it is about strategy, sales, and service. Again, your bullshit meter might be being like, oh, but that's not what I've been taught. I've been taught I need to know how to sell. I need to just have the right service. I need to just have the right freaking strategy, and then success will be there. Yeah, totally get that. And sometimes I remember being in that for years. It's like, when we're not quite in the business yet, we're still in the job, we still need a career, we still need to be making money so we can make that transition, and having that internal conflict. I want you to apply everything we're talking about here through the lens of part of your journey in business is negotiating, your non-negotiables at the moment with work, and then with what is going to actually move you forward. So totally apply that. And that's going to be relevant for many as well. Going from 9 to 5 to working in your own business can take months, years, decades. Well, hopefully not decades. That's why we're here to learn, but it takes time. So it's part of the journey to entrepreneurship. It's not off the path to entrepreneurship. And that may be a belief, and that may be a story you need to start telling yourself. Being in a job isn't me not living my entrepreneurial dream. It's part of my entrepreneurial dream because it's going to support me to get there. And having that as part of your beliefs and part of your lens will so support you through this. So, writing that down if it resonates. So as I said, business is as much about knowing yourself as it is about sales strategy and service. Something that I had to spend over, I didn't even calculate it exactly because I think it would have been slightly depressing, but over $30,000 to learn what I didn't want. That's how much I've invested in, different courses and programs and coaches. And it is probably definitely higher than that. But even though that didn't teach me the sales, the strategy, the service that I desired, it taught me what I didn't want. And so in that regard, it got to be a very valuable lesson. But the outcome of being in spaces and being in conversations and being in coaching situations and courses and content and all that sort of stuff, where I was being taught basically how to create someone else's vision, how to fit into someone else's mold, and how to compromise myself for success, my confidence was shattered. That is why I'm here telling you right now, let's get clear on your non-negotiable, because when you know yourself, you're not going to fall into those traps. You're not going to fall, you might trip a little bit. We've all done that, signed up for a masterclass and realized halfway through, what am I doing? I'm just information gathering. Signed up for a course and gone, actually, this isn't creating the business I desire. So you'll still might trip, but you don't need to fall all the way to rock bottom. And you don't need to spend $30,000 to figure that out either. So through that, I actually learned, there are some positives. Let me put this out there. I learned how to make money. I learned how to make sales. I learned how to get clients, but not my way, which means eventually it came to an end. So what we really want to do for everyone, or what I want to do for everyone, my mission is to help you create your dream business, but also the dream pathway to get there, because it is impossible. I'm just going to put it out there and you can argue with me if you don't quite, agree. But can you truly create your dream outcome, your dream life, your dream business, your dream income, if you've compromised along the way, if you've lost yourself along the way, if you've done things that you don't actually want to do, or you don't want to continue doing? You're setting yourself up for a very sticky situation. And let's, maybe seed the thought it doesn't need to be that way. And in fact, next week in my newsletter, which is on my emailing list, by the way, if you're not signed up, I would encourage you to sign up. And in the podcast for next week, we're going to be touching on this, how to identify your values, your passions, and your strengths so that you have this deeper level of knowing of yourself. So you can navigate what happens, not only now, but in the future with a lot more confidence, because your identity is set, your identity is certain. To make it really simple, just DM me if you're not on the email list or you want the link to my podcast. All right, so that was the first one. You don't need to compromise yourself. And maybe that's like a mantra you wake up with every morning. You know, I don't need to compromise myself. I just need to be more of myself. So I really want this to become such a part of who you are, that when you're put in a position to compromise yourself or compromise your vision or compromise your business or compromise, insert here, you have such a radical reaction of no, that's not who I am and that's not what I do. It's going to save you a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of grief, and a lot of regret. Second truth, you are not a cookie cutter human. So your journey won't be either. And I saw that smile. You are not a cookie cutter human, so your journey won't be either. Let's finally ditch and even tap into this waning moon energy that's going on at the moment. Let's release, let's clear, let's cleanse, let's freaking remove the idea that you're going to find your answer in some cookie cutter structure. You're not cookie cutter. Let's stop aiming for that. And I want to acknowledge, actually, because it's tempting, especially when you're not getting the results you desire, especially when you're still stuck in that 9 to 5 you don't want to be in, especially when you feel so close to making that first sale or getting that next client or, stepping out and into your business a bit more fully, a bit more freely. It can be so, so tempting to just go for that easy win. Those masterclasses, those courses, those content strategies, that they make it sound so shiny and so simple and so easy. And we've all been there. And that desire for cookie cutter is actually your desire for certainty and safety. So you don't have to judge yourself for it either. When you sign up to the 50th masterclass this week, when you scrolling Instagram and you're like, ooh, that person's business looked good. That person's post looks shiny. Ooh, how that person do it. I should do it that way. We've all done that. That's simply you seeking certainty, you seeking safety. But this is something you can give yourself. What would it feel like for that sense of certainty and groundedness and I've fucking got this coming from within you rather than from outside of you? How would that feel? Maybe it's a completely new thought and you're like, oof, I'm so used to tethering myself outside. What would it mean to tether inside? Ownership. Yes. Owning your journey. Owning your journey, owning your choices, owning your vision. All of these are ingredients and pieces to the puzzle of knowing your non-negotiables, owning your journey, being in your power, and leading your life. So today we're going to work on this through knowing your non-negotiables. Now, I used to negotiate everything, and that's kind of embarrassing to admit because I've always been one to go against the grain. I was very happy to always do it my way, or so I thought. We're really good at rebelling in safe ways. And I'm sure many people in this community are the same. You're like, yeah, well, I'm willing to chop my hair off and change colors, and I'm really to quit my job. And yet at the same time, playing it safe when it comes to these things, when it comes to business, when it comes to the vision, when it comes to owning it. And we've all heard this phrase, the ends justifies the means. Well, as long as I get there, as long as I get the money, as long as I get the business, as long as I get the client. And that's another one we're going to scrap. That's something we don't play with anymore. How we get there matters. Because we don't want to look up one day. I don't want you to look up one day like I have done and go, How did I create a business that I don't want to be in? Business used to be my biggest dream, still is my biggest dream, let me clarify. And I thought once I was in business that would be me living the dream. But when you look up and you realize, but I never wanted to do that. And I didn't want to work like this. And how did I end up talking about that or working with these people? And that's not a judgment on the people. It's just like, but they weren't my people. We weren't talking about my stuff. What had I done? There was a sense of this internal devastation, a constant evolution of the messy masterpiece. Definitely. I will say it's all part of the journey. And with perspective, we have power. So I get to look at that now and be like, ooh, I've learned so much. At the time, still feels really shit. So as much as possible, we want to set you up for success where you don't have to look up and feel like you need to start again. There'll always be pivots. There'll always be changes. You'll always grow and continue to grow. But let's make that smoother, because the rough parts will still be rough, but they don't need to be a freaking roller coaster. And it really, sucks when you find yourself in that position. So let's not hit rock bottom anymore. Now, this is where you get your pen and paper. I know you've been taking notes, but this is where I want you to actually do a little bit of reflection. So have your pen and paper ready. And we're going to actually start to define your non-negotiables. I want to emphasize, we are not talking about how. We are not talking about implementation. We are not talking about, oh my God, but I have to do all of this work to, no. We are talking about the what. So I really want to invite you all to just breathe out any part of you that is maybe tethered into the future and thinking about how this is going to come about. I want you to reel yourself back into the present. You may need to close your eyes to do this. You may need to put your feet flat on the ground to remind yourself you are here and now. And breathing in steadiness, groundedness, and that sense of I've freaking got this. And whatever comes next, I'll figure it out then. So we're just going to be sinking right into this present moment. And as I start to share these prompts, flow and go where you are directed now in this moment. And if that sneaky little voice pops up and goes, but I really need to know the how, or I don't know how that's going to be possible. Besides for setting that aside from now, we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to go deeper into that next masterclass. So you can just genuinely set aside the how for now, because I'll take care of you later. So here is the first prompt. And let's really narrow our focus a little bit to business. So your business that you're creating or you're shaping. I am willing to. And just dot points. What are you willing to do in your business? Have in your business? Experience in your business? Like, allow yourself to get creative here, but what are you willing to do, be, have? And I'll be quiet for a minute. You might surprise yourself with what you're willing to do as well. So allow yourself to get curious, your intuition to speak up. What am I willing to do? This might sound like, I am willing to study every day. I am willing to learn how to use technology. I am willing to work 3 days a week, 5 days a week. So when we come against maybe some very big restrictions in terms of time and capacity and resource and access, yes, as exactly what you did there, invite you to think about, well, what's in my control right now? Because as we identified earlier, being in this phase of your life is still part of the business journey. So studying, writing some plans, beautiful. I'm just putting it out there, maybe willing to study businesses that you do align with or do like, because that's one that's very active in terms of ideation, but passive in terms of action. So you can look for, take note of, screenshot things that you like, but it doesn't require you to be in the active creation phase. So that's another one you can pop there. Now, your willingness is going to shift and change also through seasons and capacity and energy, and also your interest will shift. So this is one to always keep updated as well. Now, the flip side of this is where we start to step into the non-negotiables as well. I am not willing to. This is one I skipped because at the start of my business journey, I said, I'm willing to do anything. And I did. And I was exhausted and I created a business that wasn't quite mine. So this is one to not skip and get really honest about what this is for you. You're so welcome. This is such a helpful conversation, I know. And I just need to give all the secrets away so people can start living their life and creating the businesses they want and start making their magic in the world. That's why it's just like, this is what we need to do. So what am I not willing to do? Big question. Take a moment or take a few moments and make it as specific as you can. There's no too big or too small. When it comes to your I am not willing to, allow it all to come out. Allow it all to come out. But if you notice there's a part of you that's like, oh, I think that's just self-esteem, or that's just confidence, or that's just, I don't have the skills yet. And you can kind of realize they're not really non-negotiables. They're just like, I don't fucking know. Just put a little asterisk next to those so you can revisit them at a later stage and maybe dig into, why am I not willing? And then there might be some you're like, I'm never going to do that ever. I know, down to my toes. That's a non-negotiable. That's how I'm not going to do. Awesome. There'll be different levels of clarity here. Awesome. Beautiful. So making decisions about your current workplace or the change of the current workplace, because now you get to see what you're willing and not willing to do. Yeah. And maybe the sacrifice of changing would be all the extra overwhelm and the learning and the this and that and the other. It's going to reduce capacity even more for the business. Yeah, beautiful. So I'm just going to sort of throw out a few here because it might be resonating, is like, I am not willing to work more than, let's say, 8 hours a day. Or maybe for you, it's 4 hours a day. And there is literally no right or wrong answer here. I've worked with clients and they've really struggled with the fact that they only have 2 hours to work a day, but they've told themselves they need 4. They've told themselves they need 5. They've told themselves they need 10. And that conflict in and of itself, exhausting. So when we can know our non-negotiables, know what we're willing and not willing to do, but also know what's in our capacity, we're empowered to act with focus. We're empowered to act in alignment. So don't judge yourself for what you're willing and not willing to do. Own it. And maybe it's like, I'm not willing to launch more than one thing at a time. That's something I have learned the hard way. But it's all about really realizing and owning what works for you and what doesn't. And as you shift through your business, even shift through today, you might add more to this. So make this a working document, a living document. And remember, we're going to talk about the how next time. All right, here's another question. Because now that you've identified, even if it's not everything yet, what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, we need to think about. We're going to take the step in the direction of how. Don't need to do it yet, but we're just going to take this step there. What needs to change? So just want you to start contemplating. And it might be your schedule. It might be your nutrition because your energy is too low. It might mean, insert your thing here. So what needs to change? Start getting curious there. Writing a schedule, awesome. You're like, I've got no schedule. That's what needs to change. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Something that needed to change for me was, and it's funny when I think about it, not jumping from coach to coach to coach to coach to coach to coach, because what I was doing was information gathering and then just copy and pasting other people. I needed time to figure out what I actually wanted before I then invested again. So that was a big one for me. What needs to change? Stop seeking other people to solve my problems, to solve my business. And that doesn't mean don't get education. And that doesn't mean don't get support. But you need to know first and foremost what support you need before you can go and seek it. So clarity. I wasn't allowing myself the time for clarity. So I just got more confusion. Next question. What needs to be maintained? Because when we start to shift and change and step up and own the power, sometimes we stop doing things that work. So what needs to be maintained? And I bet there are things you are doing very well. So what needs to be maintained? Health and emotional wellness, 100%. When I started my membership, I deliberately included health, wealth, happiness, and business, because I knew, just like I had experienced, if I only focused on business, what I would be teaching is that that's the most important thing. I had to include health as one of my pillars in Soul Led and Satisfied, because it's one of the things that gets lost the most often when it comes to entrepreneurship. Sacrifice sleep, sacrifice wellness, sacrifice breaks, sacrifice self. And it's just not acceptable anymore. So I love that one. Health and emotional wellness needs to be maintained. And there's an invitation there to get clearer. What does that look like? Maybe it means more sleep, more breaks. For me, a huge thing is not just taking breaks when I'm done. Like I've done a task, took me 5 hours. It's like regularly taking breaks, at least every 2 hours. Very uncomfortable at the start, very, very necessary, and actually very rewarding now that I've gotten used to it. I was like, oh, I can take time for myself and stretch out my sore shoulder. I don't just have to knuckle through. Shocking, totally shocking. All right, so now that we've got what needs to change, what needs to be maintained, we're going to take a step towards action. And I want you to be micro with this, because I want you to achieve it today. One small step you can take today. And if it's too big for you to take today, go smaller. So what's one small step you can take today? A schedule and going back to the gym. Beautiful. And I love how that complements what you've identified about what needs to change and what needs to be maintained. Awesome. We'll allow this to be simple. If you're watching this and going, oh my God, I should completely rewrite my vision for my business. Oh my God, I should completely change my direction and my milestones and my goals. Breathe, calm down. This is not a race. It is a journey of a lifetime, and it won't take a lifetime. But we need to start having that perspective of I'm in this for the long haul, but I'm also in this for the right reasons and to do it the right way. We don't need to rush. We need to make it sustainable. So, one small step. Awesome. I'm so glad that this is giving you the opportunity and the invitation to refocus on what matters. And maybe that's the small step for someone else, is actually just to focus on what matters, or focus on what they're doing or why they're doing this. Because we can definitely get caught up in the current circumstance. I don't like where I'm living. I don't like what I'm doing. I don't like my current routine. I don't like the people around me. And we start to see an overrepresentation of the negative. And it literally blocks out the light of our North Star. And so we need to refocus, get clear again, and reestablish our power, which is where we are, who we are, and where we're going. Alrighty, so now we've got the third kind of tip, secret, I don't even know what to call these, pieces of gold. Honor yourself, and very relevant to what you just shared. Honor yourself for where you're at now, and know you won't always be there. Ooh, very divine timing on that one. Honor yourself for where you're at now, and know you won't always be there. Such a big one. It is very easy to get focused and get stuck, not because we're stuck, but because we're focused on being stuck. And that stuckness creates more stuckness. So one of the most damaging things you can do when you start to get clarity is get frustrated with the gap. Get frustrated with not being where you want to be. Get frustrated and telling stories like, I shouldn't be here. This isn't where I want to be. This is stopping me from creating the life, the business, the goals, the reality. And like we said right at the start, wherever you are right now is part of your journey to where you want to be. And we need to own that so we can own what's next. This is a phrase I've been playing around with lately. Divine discomfort. Embrace the divine discomfort. And you had to put the word divine on there to sell it. No one likes to be uncomfortable. No one likes to be in discomfort. But when we can kind of embrace that it is divine discomfort, it's part of the plan. It's part of our plan. It's part of our journey. It's not a problem. It's the path. Ooh, suddenly divine discomfort is an invitation for you to strengthen, to honor, and to own. Because you are so much stronger than you think. Divine discomfort is about leaning into the growing pains and allowing the present to simply be. When I was still in teaching, all I saw was the discomfort. I did not see the divine in it. All I saw was, why do I have to keep showing up here? And not by showing up here, I get to save for my business. I get to pay for my coaching course. I get to have, work-life balance. All I saw was the discomfort. So if this is a wake-up call you needed today, to go, yes, I'm uncomfortable, and no, it's not a problem. I take that with both hands, embrace that. Divine discomfort gets to be a bit of a guiding star for you at the moment. And I got a little bit of an activity here as well. So getting your pen and paper again. You probably haven't even put it down yet. That's good. We're going to own, you're like, yes, we're going to own the discomfort. So this is your invitation. Step into your strength, step into your ownership. You've been doing so well. Identify what about this stage, season, or transformation is most uncomfortable to you. Like literally on your page, where is your discomfort? Let's see it in black and white. It could be people, places, finances, routines, health, whatever it is, where is your discomfort? We're not shying away. We're seeing it. And we're all pretty good at identifying our discomforts because we probably think about them a lot, complain about them a lot, mull over them a lot. So that probably came really easy and quickly. And that's all good. People, energy, health, everything is unknown. I'm going to challenge you to just sink down into the everything there. Is it everything or is it, I'm going to sort of prompt you, because when we sort of claim everything, we overemphasize again the shadow, we overemphasize the negative. Maybe the discomfort is in the story that everything is unknown, not that everything is unknown. The discomfort is in being confused a lot. Discomfort rather. We can get comfortable with discomfort. But sinking down, sinking in. And let this, and you probably have done it on your paper, but as specific as possible. What about the people? What about the energy? What about the health? Oh, I love that. Having a routine will solve the discomfort. It'll begin to resolve the discomfort. Yeah. And the second question here, the second prompt, now that you've identified your discomforts, how can you make room for it rather than push it away? This is the divine part of discomfort. The face was, what? How do we make room for it rather than push it away? I'll give an example because that's probably a question you've never heard before. When I was really frustrated around, it's probably everything in my life. When I get really frustrated and uncomfortable and I don't know what to do, literally, I can see it now. I didn't see it at the time. Confusion was like, go eat something. I'm confused. I don't know what to do. I'm walking around my house going, why am I in this room? Why am I in this room? I should be doing something. I don't know what to do. I should be doing something. You should know what to do, but I don't know what to do. Oh, I'll just go to the shop and I'd get some food or get some takeaway or go to a cafe. And it was unconscious at the time. But now I can see through the embrace of divine discomfort, confusion, I would seek to run away from it, to push my confusion away by getting busy and soothing through food. Now, even if it feels really silly, let's sit down. And it's better to be uncomfortable and present than push it away and get distracted and go do something else. Because then I'm overly full, off my diet, low energy, probably want to have a nap and don't do the thing anyway. So nothing is solved. Some things are worse. So part of making room for it is just like not doing the avoiding, not doing the distracting, not doing the, oh, I'm going to get busy with something else. You totally get it. Another way to make room for it is like if you're trying to figure something out and you're feeling the uncomfortableness of I'm not confident, I'm not sure, and you have the habit of switching tasks, well, I'll work on something else instead. And you know that for yourself is an avoidance tactic because you just did busy work, not important work. Sitting with the discomfort of, I'm going to stay here until I figure it out. Or I'm going to, set it aside, have a break, and then come back to it. It's not about the avoidance. It's not about the pushing away. So how can you make room rather than push it away? Is that your answer from before, creating a routine? Or is there something else? Yep. Take the break or put it on the shelf. It's about pausing, or is that like the avoidance? Pause. Yeah. Sacred pause, deliberate pause. So powerful. If you don't know what to do, it doesn't mean get distracted by doing other stuff. It means hold it, embrace it, pause there. Yeah. Very empowering. All right. So a bit of a recap. And you probably answered these questions throughout the class, but I just want to put them out here because maybe you have a heightened level of awareness, a different answer, or maybe this will just hit different Or maybe I'm just reminding you of what we've done. So the first one, what are your new non-negotiables? As in what you're willing to do and not willing to do. 2, what is your next best step today? So what are you going to actually do? Because the biggest thing with awareness, we then need to start implementing it. And that doesn't mean do 50 things. It means do one simple thing. And number 3, how will you hold space for the discomfort? And allow that to be whatever it is you need it to be. Pause, take a break, lay down, stick with it, feel into it, journal on it. So many different things we can do with that last one. If you need help, reach out, comment. All right. And I want to say actually that also, I've said it before, but in the guide section of this group, we've got written lessons that loosely follow the framework of these masterclasses. So lesson number 3, know your non-negotiables. It is there if you want to extend this. It's different, but if you want to continue on this topic, you can go into the guide section, lesson number 3. All right. And I'd love to open it up to some Q&A. So if you have any particular questions about your non-negotiables, taking action, divine discomfort, or anything else we've talked about today, this is your invitation. This is your opportunity. So really learning to identify and know your non-negotiables. It's a practice, but it's also an experiment. So before I pull this card, I just want to invite everyone to know that this is a journey that you'll continue to go on. You'll continue to learn stuff about yourself. And even the answers you wrote down today and the steps you're taking from here, they will shift and grow and evolve as you shift and grow and evolve. So always come back to this lesson when you start to see yourself falling off track, maybe feeling more confused than you are certain, or when you start to look for people to save you rather than serve you. Come back to this lesson, know your non-negotiables. All right, so we're going to ask the Cosmic Guidance Oracle, what is going to extend your understanding of your own non-negotiables and what you need to know today? You can make this as woo-woo as you want. If you're feeling really called, close your eyes, connect to your spirits, your guides, or rather your intuition, your inner wisdom, and the channel that you hold within you will deliver its own messages. And I will also share mine. All right. Ooh. Very interesting. I will show you the one that popped out and the one that's on the bottom of the deck. Remember, invite your own intuition to come and play. So the first one is a new beginning. Have courage to open a new door. I'll post these in the group later as well. So if it's not in focus, you can see it more clearly. So we've got this beautiful snake, these flowers, a new beginning. Have the courage to open a new door. Let your guide speak through, and if anything comes up through for you, I want you to share it into the chat or into the comments. For me, the biggest message and compliment to today's session is when you start to know yourself, you will need to make change. Every time you unlock a new layer, you reveal more truths and you get rid of more conditioning, more lies, more patterning, more bullshit. It takes courage to actually embrace it and own it. It's sometimes really scary to realize what you've been doing is not working for you. And that's why we have communities like this. That's why I have a community like Soul Led and Satisfied. That's why we come together so naturally as people, because it's a scary path, but it doesn't have to be done alone. Ooh, I like that. The path. It's messy, but stop and smell the roses and celebrate the successes. Beautiful. Yeah. It's a circuitous road we're all on. And maybe you're here and you can't see what's around the bend, but there's still beautiful roses. There's still things to appreciate. There's still gratitude to be had. There's still gifts, even if you're currently feeling like you're in a bit of a gap. Love that. All right, I will post that one. And then the bottom of the deck. And the reason why I showed this one is it's kind of the underlying energy. We haven't spoken about it today, but it's always relevant. It's always necessary. It's always present. And that is the star. Blessings, inspiration, time to shine. So I see this one as your North Star. If you've had difficulty or challenge today in figuring out what are my non-negotiables, if you found it really challenging to write down what you're willing and not willing to do, if when we were talking about what needs to change and what needs to be maintained, you're like, I don't know, everything feels wrong, or everything feels like it can't be changed, or where do I start? The invitation here is when you can look to your North Star and when you can see it clearly, or as clearly as you need to see it to begin to move, you will find your non-negotiables become easier. Turn up the light on your North Star, turn up the light on your vision, turn up the light on what you want to create, and this will be enough illumination for you to know your non-negotiables. So your North Star, the bigger vision. So maybe it's the type of business you want or the type of lifestyle you want. I always see my North Star as like a combination of these things. Like I have almost a constellation. I've got my business North Star, I've got my life North Star, and they all complement, they're all connected. It allows me to focus a little bit more easily, but you can view these as goals. You can view these as milestones, because sometimes, like if we're following a constellation or we're following a North Star, we might get there and go, okay, what's the next constellation? What's the next North Star? So whatever really empowers you, but it's about having a vision that is bright enough that you can see it, that it can illuminate what you need to do, and you can follow it forward. So that gets to be an invitation just to get clearer on where you're going. And for those of you, and I've had so many clients, and I've been this person myself as well, I don't know where I want to be in a year's time. I don't know where I want to be in 6 months' time. Your North Star can be closer than that. What's your North Star for August? What's your North Star for the rest of the year? What's your North Star for now? You are not doing it wrong if your perspective is a little bit shorter. Because genuinely, if that's all you can see, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, that's all you need to know. You won't do it wrong, but you do need to do it. Alrighty. This has been beautiful. So just checking in, there was no questions. No, you're like, you gave me a lot of questions. I got a lot of answers. I need to think about it. All right. So just a reminder that our next masterclass is about mindset mastery. It's in the 3rd week of August. I'm going to actually look at that date. The 21st of August at 9 a.m. AEST, that's Brisbane time. And we are talking about your mindset, because it is your mastery of your mindset that's going to allow you to own these non-negotiables, keep walking on your path, and actually create the life, the business, the lifestyle that you've been dreaming of. If you've enjoyed this, make sure you leave your comments, make sure you tag me in them, and invite people in if you know they're going to benefit from this, or share it out. Share out, shout out, tell people about this, because we need to be creating people, businesses, entrepreneurs, and lives that we love and that are not just cookie cutter. Thank you so much for joining me today. Totally divine timing, I agree. These will be posted very shortly. Enjoy your day, own your non-negotiables, and build your dream life and business, because I know you can do it and you deserve it.